That it cuts in the middle and is clearly.
Call to order. Docket of agenda 2.1 recommendation.
That council adopt the agenda as presented.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Adoption of the minutes.
The council adopt the minutes from the regular council meeting held on March 20th, 2019.
And can I get a seconder?
Sorry.
Any discussion? All in favor? Introduction of late items, we have 8.5 and 8.6 in the same thing. Did you say?
Well, I was going to say from the minutes, when we had discussed that we were going to have from 11 to 2, wasn't that going to be a conflict of interest?
I wasn't here.
Okay. So for the minutes, it's from 11 till 2.
Okay.
Because that's what was decided in the minutes at the meeting. It was after the meeting, we just sent out a text saying, are you okay with moving it to 12 till 2? That's all.
Okay, so public hearing none, delegations, recommendation.
That council hear the delegation from the Dawson Creek Chamber of Commerce and presents the proclamation.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second.
All in favor? Come on up, Rob.
Wow.
Come on, Taser.
Is this for a photo? Is that what we do?
Yes.
We're going for a photo.
She's going to present your
So different.
proclamation to you. I'm guessing this is how it's done. I watched Dawson. Hey, no, Rob. Whereas Dawson
Sandy, you got your picture? Whereas the Dawson Chamber of Commerce works with businesses, nonprofit banks, and merchants to advance the civic, economic, professional, and culture life of the village. And whereas the Dawson Creek Chamber of Commerce, founded in 1944, has contributed to the civic and economic life of the village of Coos-Scoopy for the past 75 years. And whereas this year marks the 75th anniversary of the founding of the Dawson Creek Chamber of Commerce, the village leading broad-based business organization which serves as the unified voice of businesses. And whereas the Dawson Creek Chamber of Commerce encourages the growth of existing services and commercial firms and encourages new businesses to locate in the village of Coos-Scoopy, acting as the liaison with the village schools and the businesses and the community. Now therefore, I do here proclaim 2019 as the 75th anniversary of the Chamber of Commerce in the village of Coos-Scoopy.
Thank you.
You take the proclamation to Kathleen.
Oh, we got.
There you go.
Thank you very
I think
much.
there was plans for a gala, but we said, no, that's gonna cost $20,000 at the Chamber of Commerce. So we're gonna have a few things going on in the fall. Certainly, Caribou's kind of taking us off our regular day-to-day mandate stuff. That's why Kathleen kind of sat here tonight. She's gonna come to Ridge. But I know we're gonna have a front facade improvement on the Alaska Highway House in downtown. So that's certainly the most cognizant 75th plan right now.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And enjoy.
Yes, those have filling in them too, so watch out. Out of control.
Did you make them?
No. Kathleen brings them.
You're supposed to be great cook.
Well, yeah, you're full of the chili there.
inside?
Yeah, that's right.
Unfinished business arising from the minutes. New business, 8.1 recommendation.
The council approved the travel and per diem costs for Councillor Smith to attend the 2019 provincial intermunicipal meeting in Wembley, Alberta on April the 17th, 2019.
Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Any discussion?
I think this is going to be interesting because it's right after the election.
So all in favor? 8.2 recommendation.
That council received a letter from Eric from the Senior Policy Analyst, Indigenous Affairs Branch of the government, He would like to know if he can have someone come and speak to council about establishing a Peace River or Legacy Fund. Would council be interested in a presentation from this department? And that council received a letter for discussion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion. I think this is, yes, I think they should come. This is very important of the heritage of our country.
All in favor? Ken, all in favor? So you'll phone them and let them know to come?
Yes.
So, he contacted me asking if he could come and do a presentation last week, and I said I'd bring it to you guys. 8.3 recommendation.
The council received email on the Southern Mountain Caribou Recovery Engagement Process for discussion.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Tell us where it's going.
Yeah, so far nowhere. Yeah. The meeting is tomorrow night at 5:30 at Co-op, Mercer Hall in the Ancana Event Center. So everybody is welcome to come.
I'm unable to attend.
There's lots of people out there that can go. 8.4 recommendation.
The council decided they would like a presentation from Canadian Association of Petroleum Products, CAP, at a council meeting. First from CAP called to see if council would be interested in a presentation on April the 17th, 2019.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second.
Yeah, I would discussion. I think it's a good idea. Pardon?
I would like to know from CAP what they're doing to get out there and promote LNG and that above the lower mainland. Like, what are they doing to promote knowledge about our industry up here?
Okay. Anybody else?
I wouldn't mind. I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris?
Sam, you got that figured out? 8.5, Ken's letter. You want to speak to that? Can I have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Do you want me to read this?
Yeah.
Ooh. All right.
On the resolution.
Now, the wording may have to be modified. This is my first kick at this can. But, okay, let's just go through it. I'm writing to the Village of Pouce Coupe Council, requesting favorable consideration and resolutions of support for recovering municipal costs arising from climate change. I am requesting that at the April 3rd meeting, that council approve the following resolutions. Whereas local governments are incurring substantial costs in relation to the impacts of climate change, including volatile weather patterns, drought, wildfires, erosion, and other impacts. And whereas it is fiscally prudent to recover these costs from areas and cities which are the greatest consumers of fossil fuel, with the knowledge that consumption contributes to climate change. If there was no consumption of fossil fuels, there would be no fossil fuel industry. Therefore, be it resolved that the government of British Columbia enter into a study to determine the percentage of adverse effect the province of British Columbia has upon global climate change, and that the province then begins reparations to the affected municipalities based on the negative impact of the province's consumption of fossil fuels. Therefore, be it resolved that the government of British Columbia consider that cities include activities such as tourism, including emissions from cruise ships for the fossil fuels consumed by such vessels as they travel towards and enter Canadian waters on their way to ports within British Columbia. Therefore, be it resolved that the government of British Columbia considers, in their effort to reduce climate change within the province of BC, that the province accept their responsibility for the adverse financial losses of individuals who will have their livelihood negatively impacted. Therefore, be it resolved that the government of British Columbia consider that these individuals adversely affected by the recipient, that the government of British Columbia consider that these individuals adversely affected be the recipient of guaranteed income from the province of British Columbia until such time as alternative green energy industry has been developed to sustain those adversely affected. Therefore, be it resolved that UBCM explore the initiation of a class action lawsuit on behalf of all British Columbians to recover costs arising from climate change from major fossil fuel consumers within the province. And I eagerly look forward to your support on this matter.
Where do you want to bring this resolution forward?
I would like to see this go right to the UBCM, right after Victoria stands up. We can't do that, I don't think, but let's do it if we can.
Are you going to be there to present it?
No, I won't be there to present.
So,
You will be there. You can present this.
I've already got one.
You got two.
Okay, I think possibly it may be too late to submit it because I think it has to go through the NCLGA first.
Which was Thursday.
No,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Sandy. I think you can take it to NCLGA. I think you can present it from the floor at NCLGA. I can check into that, but I'm not sure if it would go to UBCM this year. You may be able to bring it up, but I'm not 100% sure it would go, because she told me that we had to have them in by March 1st is when they had to be done. That's why the other one was rushed through.
And there is some editing here.
Yes,
That
and they'll help me with that. Like they'll tell me where to,
change it.
yeah.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay, correspondence, anybody see anything here? Council received a council motion from the city of Victoria. She can go.
She's got a lot of things in there, she wants money.
Yeah. So can we have a letter, Chris, to tell her to where to, how to, and where to go? Nicely?
Which
How
one
do you
is
do
it,
that
right?
How do you do
You know exactly how I think.
Just take the other one that you used. Add a few choices.
She's got housing affordability crisis in 2016.
Vacancy,
Yes, there's,
So it's
what
not like
what
we
did
don't
you say,
have-
Sandy? 10?
There's 10
motions or resolutions, so, is
But
there any?
I feel I need to write her a letter.
Well, I think our last motion when you weren't here was to give her an invite to come up to Northern BC.
See?
Has anybody heard about her visit?
It's not until 17, 15 years.
I thought it was the 28th that she was
Of April.
Oh.
If we're writing a letter, your worship, is there any particular one of those motions that we should be focusing on?
All of them. All of her letters here.
You want us to write the letters first or invite her first?
I think we should write the letters first.
Write the letters first and then at the bottom say, come up to Northern British Columbia
And take a look.
and take a look before you start melting off. All in favor?
Little paraphrasing of the suggestion, but yeah.
Chris knows how I think, so he'll put it in
Chris will.
words.
He'll be very diplomatic.
Yeah. 9.2 recommendation.
That council received the Caribou Recovery draft plans released by the provincial government as information.
Can I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Any discussion on this?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it, Sam.
What is the purpose of this correspondence from the government?
I'm not sure. They're coming up to talk to us, Thursday night?
Are they gonna listen?
Have they been listening, Rob?
Have they been listening?
I think they're listening. I'm not sure.
I think it's a foregone
Change.
conclusion, what's already gonna be happening though.
Yeah, it's already done.
Yeah.
They're gonna tell us what we're gonna do.
So who was involved in the consultation?
West Mo and,
Soto First Nations.
All right.
Not the consultation, Councilor Drover, they were involved in the draft plans.
start
So the province is now, coming out with these meetings to meet what would likely be viewed as the public consultation piece, but to echo Rob's point, the plan is already on paper. It would appear that these consultation meetings are more, here's what we're doing, FYI, any questions, we're here to answer it, but we'll look forward to implementing this plan in the near future.
Or
So-
go to the website and read.
You know, I'm very concerned with what our provincial government has been doing, whether it's through the implementation of changes within the ALR or with this caribou management plan. We've lost our rights as citizens, and my God, this is the closest thing to a communist government that I've ever lived under. And, why should I go there and exercise my rights when my right is to be heard but nothing to be done from it, right? Where was the input from the people concerned outside of native groups who have a vested interest in the caribou management and a history in that, sure, but what about the rest of us who live and play and work in this area?
Invested interest.
But not even that, the councillors, the mayors, the regional district.
Absolutely.
Everybody has not been even consulted on this.
This is terrible, terrible government. I mean, we live in Pouce Coupe, Canada, not Pouce Coupe, Russia. What can we do about it?
Well, just attend the meeting and voice your opinion.
From what I gather, looking at the notes, because the CEO of Chetwynd sent out an email today, and I'll forward that off to you guys, some observations about the meeting in Chetwynd. It was about 500 people there. Lots of questions, comments, that type of thing. But Chetwynd's actually gone to the point of hiring a biologist as well, who attended that meeting, and Carol also summed up literally a 1.5-page long series of holes that the biologist poked in the plan. This seems to have been, to your point, rushed forward. There's no evidence that what they're actually proposing will in fact save the caribou populations. There's
Well,
been
considering
no,
that the grizzly, you can't shoot grizzly.
there's nowhere in the draft agreement a likelihood of success. So really, it's how is the public supposed to make an informed decision on this initiative when we don't know whether or not what the government's planning has a 80-20 likelihood of success, a 50-50, or 5-95? Who knows? They're not releasing that information. The suspicion is maybe they don't even know. So part of me would like to say that it's been rushed through, but the fact of the matter is, and I've even been mentioning this to the past council, is that the negotiations between the province and the two affected First Nations have been happening for years. To your point, Councillor Drover, without anyone else at the table, entirely in closed-door meetings. And as a result of this stuff coming to the forefront, both at the municipal level and at the PRRD and other levels of government as well, it appears the government's in scramble mode that, the word got out that we're doing this, and now we better talk to the citizens and engage them before we finalize this. And we've got what we have now. where, levels of government at the PRD have been asking for months for legitimate engagement discussions, and now what we have is a final draft plan presented for 4 opportunities for the local municipalities. Tell us what you think, and we'll be happy to take it home and consider it. To your point, it may or may not ever make it into the final plan because the decisions have been made. It's an odd process, to say the least.
And all of our communities, what have we done? Chapman has hired a biologist, you say?
Chetwynd,
Because Chetwynd's gonna be mostly effective.
yeah, the first community to hire a biologist years ago, from what I understand on this initiative, was actually Fort Nelson, because they apparently caught wind of it very, very early on in the discussions. And they hired a biologist to do some work. I don't think that person is still working for
Stanley.
But there was a report generated that spoke to all kinds of caribou statistics that said, caribou, and one of the interesting ones was that caribou herds that are living in the existing national and provincial parks in Canada have experienced virtually identical population declines as the ones that are in these affected areas. So, in their opinion, clearly banning everything and everybody from the backcountry isn't saving the caribou herds. The evidence is not there. It's not working under the park structure. Why would we assume it's going to work under this one? So there was a bunch of stuff that came to the forefront. But yeah, Chetwynd, flat out said they hired a biologist directly, just to Mayor McKetty's point. The 2 mills that are in Chetwynd, and even Kathleen from the chamber in the Facebook post said flat out that if this comes to pass, Chetwynd's probably losing one of its mills.
Yeah.
So we're talking hundreds of people, so millions in revenue and taxes and stuff happening to the Chetwynd economy. So, they're at that point, that crucial sort of boundary that we either hire somebody with some credentials that can fight this, or we sit back and
Let it go.
and watch our real estate values crumble as people move out of town in droves.
This is the BC government, is this also the federal?
Yeah, federal government's downloading onto the PC.
Well, I guess people have to remember this at election time.
It's not, from what I understand the process, and I'm not a wildlife biologist by any means, but the application to protect the caribou herds has been made to the federal government under the SARA Species at Risk legislation.
Species at risk.
Which, from what we understand from some of the conference calls, is some of the most prohibitive legislation that's out there, because the SARA legislation considers only the well-being of the wildlife species for which the report has been put forward. They're not actually allowed to consider any socioeconomic impacts. It's do whatever has to be done to save this snail, squirrel, caribou in this case. So what the province is doing now is trying to come up with this draft plan to get out ahead of that, because if the province puts measures in place that satisfy the federal wildlife, or the federal Minister of the Environment, Minister McKenna, that the province has done something that looks like it will help the caribou and address it, then the feds don't enact SARA and all the nasty stuff that comes along with it.
You had an answer there?
There was only, about the only recourse left now is to demand that the provincial government hold up until there's
Federal election.
no.
That
would help.
That would help.
But,
An economic impact study.
yeah, the economic impact study in the affected areas. And that's about all that's left to us, is to demand the.
And who's going to take that to the government, provincial government? Is that UBCM, is that through?
We're writing directly to the provincial government. Like that's where, that's what the chamber is doing on behalf of the businesses. Because it's a localized problem.
The regional district is also
No, but it's localized, we can't take it to the provincial.
Yeah, we asked to say if the BC, provincial
Yeah.
chambers would take a look at it, but they're not.
But they won't because it's too, no, it's too
Vancouver doesn't,
localized.
yeah.
They don't care, they,
Well, they do, but they represent.
Most of their members don't.
Yeah,
How's that?
so we won't have their support. So, basically, writing a letter in the strongest,
boys.
yeah.
Or lawyer up.
And the more letters they get too,
If
I
they get
think.
bombarded by letters, maybe they'll think,
Yeah, because it's gonna affect everything Prince George North, basically. Because a lot of the woodlots are affected.
Well, the other concern is that this becomes the template for any endangered species, so now the next month it'll be the mountain goat. And
yeah,
it's the
because it
same
started with
issue.
the grizzly,
Yeah.
right?
It actually started with a couple of species of birds. So
Yep.
this has been done by Eco-Justice. And if you go onto their website, there's a series of these test cases that they've tried, starting in the Kamloops area with an endangered species of bird. I think there might even have been one for some endangered species of rats, where they were able to completely ban any and all recreational activity in this grassland area because of some grass. So-
Is that the one that lit on fire the other day?
And then it kind
Terrific
of escalated from there to the point now where they're using a major species to shut down a major portion of, the BC outback. And the interesting thing is, looking at the map, this area bisects the province south to north. So if this goes through, it's not only the current, the current logging, so on and so forth, there will never be a pipeline of any type going from anywhere in Alberta out to the coast. The products will be landlocked, or they'll have to go east. And that's it.
And that's normal.
Because it's bisecting the entire thing. The areas of BC that aren't existing provincial or national parks are now covered by this protected area.
Can we send a?
It's an absolutely massive swath of land.
Can we,
Massive.
like Barb said, can we do a letter?
We've done several already, your worship.
Support with Chamber of Commerce?
And who knows, maybe Chetwynd will invite us and other communities to assist them with their biologists.
For the northern area, what about a brainstorming at NCLGA?
I think, Brad and Lynn, or Brad and Dan are already dealing with NCLGA on that.
Okay, because also UBCM, if we made a big picking on. Well, look what they did with the white elephant the last time we were there.
It's also something to consider too, your worship, that the information we're getting is about the northern protection zone. There's also a southern protection zone, that agreement that's being drafted up simultaneously along with this one. So it's not just our neck of the woods, it's all the way down to the southern BC
BC, they
border.
want BC apart.
Do we know what they're doing?
We've got limited information on that. There's groups that are down there trying to spearhead.
They're having the
their own
same
thing.
kind of meetings as we are. Problems is.
Okay. We'll probably have to discuss this before.
I'll send out the updated maps in the email that Chetwynd has sent, and it's Carol's notes from the meeting and the comments from their biologist who watched this whole presentation from the province. There's literally like 20 bullet points of this doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense. They didn't comment at all on this, and some very, very valid arguments in there, so I'll send that.
Austin, did you go to that meeting?
Yeah,
And you saw that? And you saw all of that?
yeah, they had them on the walls and,
It's a massive amount of land for what's amounting to about 200 caribou,
700 acres?
something more, yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, one of the really ironic points of this is that all of these land closures are on the table right now. and don't quote me on the number, but the province of BC issued somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 limited caribou hunting tags last year. So we've got a species that on one hand the province is saying we're going to shut down everything in these entire massive tracts of land, but we'll just keep hunting them. And here's a tag. Go ahead.
So can we put that in our letter?
You'll probably find if you look at the Site C anywhere, caribou was never an issue, and now all of a sudden it is. But
It is.
it was never noted on any, when they approved that, it was not an endangered area or species, but not, yeah.
And they were supposed to have done all those studies.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And something that strongly jumps out again on the website of the group that we think, initiated this is their entire legal practice is based around anti-pipeline, anti-tar sands, as they call it.
They make their money.
They make their money on environmental litigation.
They want to shut down.
They want to shut down.
So you guys are recommending a letter, or what are you recommending?
Make a motion.
Hey, you're making a motion, what are you making a motion?
We got a letter of, whatever you said.
Letter of support for the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, 9.3 recommendation.
This is all correspondence. Is there anything?
The council received a notice on Indigenous Resource Opportunities Conference and Information.
What about this, Minerals North? Does anybody want to go with that?
I don't.
Ken?
No.
No? Okay. And the Medical Society, no, I'm not going down there. Letter
I make a motion.
9.6.
That council received a request from Kinamat for a letter of support of a graduated licensing for motorcycles resolution, UBCM, and information.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
I strongly recommend that we get a letter of support.
All in favor?
And get my vote.
9.7 recommendation?
The council received a letter from the Wilderness Committee as information.
Can I get a second? Any discussion on that? No? Okay, resolutions none, bylaws none, administration reports, 12.1, CAO, Chris. Good night, Rob.
See you later.
Yeah.
What? That's why as soon as he started, I'm out of here.
Very lucky it's my turn.
Just don't flub the words.
Right, there you go, yeah, motions those have been addressed, so.
Okay, man.
Yeah, here we go, jumping into it. Let's just start off with, had some good holidays there, was sick for a little while, but got to spend some good time with friends and family, and happy to be back to work now. Some of the stuff that's bubbled up this week. Spent most of Monday working on the post office break-in file, so gathering information, and then thanks to council for the pre-approval of video equipment there last night. We're working on that as we speak. Want to thank everyone for a good budget meeting last night. I know tax rate setting is not the sexiest, easiest decision for council to make, so thanks for the open and
And you also
collaborative
like
discussion.
to thank Mr. McKinney to go for going up to get the mail, because he found the post office.
You found the post office? Okay.
But he forgot the mail.
Noted.
At least your boss was one of the ones that wrote.
Yeah, so also want to thank Sandy for keeping the CAO role alive and well while I was on holidays. So it's nice to have somebody I trust implicitly keeping the ship on course while I'm away.
Yay, Sandy never fired anybody.
Come
close this time.
Hey, this time. Moving on. Held our weekly staff meeting today. Was a bit of a marathon meeting, but due to me being sick and on holidays, we hadn't really had one since March 13th. So we covered a lot of ground. I went over the full tax presentation with staff, so everyone in the organization now is sort of on the same page with that stuff. Discussed returning the loader on April 15th. It literally hasn't been used in a couple of weeks, but we've maybe got some snow coming here Thursday or Friday.
We're supposed to have some today.
Yeah, we're supposed to have some today, so we kind of don't think we even need the loader, so
We can always get it if we have to, don't we?
potentially,
Okay.
yeah. But we've got other snow clearing equipment too. We got the standard truck with the little blades, so.
Well, if it comes down, it's probably just gonna melt at this point.
We just got to double check because we did have a minimum of a 3-month lease on that, and I couldn't remember the date we actually got it. So if April 15th is okay, we're gonna get John here to come back and pick it up. Street sweeping's well underway, quite a bit earlier than last year, but we've done first pass in most of the town. We're planning on doing 2 and then 3 where we need them. The fire hall had 2 calls of service, or first service last week. One was a vehicle fire, and then another medical call in town here. Something we did in the meeting today was assign capital and special projects to staff as sort of their projects in 2019. So that's something I'm doing a little bit different than in past years. So everybody was actually, it was good. Everybody was quite eager. Yeah, I want that one, I want that one. So it'll be good training for staff to kind of have projects that they're assigned to and work forward. And that's of course going to help us get to a good completion rate on the 19 we've got to do. The volunteering request form has been completed. That's going to be on council agenda for April 17th for you guys to approve. Looks pretty good. If council's okay with it, we'll do mail drops and get that out there. We're working on the daycare info rollout as well, and that was a project that Sandy and Alistair both agreed to take on. So what we're going to do there is something along the lines.
That one we were voluntold.
Told, right?
Yes, that one we were voluntold.
They agreed to take it on.
But when your boss tells you what to do, well, it's not really voluntold.
Right?
Pretty much the boss says.
So what the game plan is there is we're going to put together an information package in a summary and send it out to everybody in the community and online in the standard channels. And basically it's going to be a call for interested parties who might want to start up a daycare in town. And for them to come to the village, we can have a quick chat about it. We're going to put together the full information package for them.
Including the training and
Yeah, everything that the ministry sent me, we're going to put 2 or 3 information packages together and say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you guys are interested in this. Here's the information package for it. Here's the provincial contact. Here's the Village of Pouce Coupe grant writer's number. Start by contacting the province, see if this works, and if so, dial up the grant writer. He's already been notified that this stuff might come down the pipeline. And if luck goes our way, we just might have an entrepreneur that really has a pretty turnkey business. Because I've said it, both to you guys and to staff today, I can't remember the last time I came across a higher level of government grant program that was as open-ended as this. They're really, reading between the lines from the conversation I had with Melissa there at the province, they're looking for somebody with a heartbeat and willingness to take this on. And if the community needs a daycare, here's some grant money. Nice. Away you go. So I think, I think that meets everybody's objectives. Our goal of trying to find something, but at the same time, the conflicting goal of, we don't necessarily as a municipality want to be responsible for people's kids. So this way we're encouraging, we're encouraging business in the community, and fingers crossed that it might work out.
Giving them the ways to find it.
And we're gift wrapping it. Here's all the information, guys, all the contact, and here's a free grant writer to fill out the paperwork if you're even worried about it. It doesn't get any easier. So let's hope we get somebody coming to the table. Audit work was completed there last week, and the week of March 25th. Looks like it went really smoothly. I didn't hear any comments from the auditor that anything was seriously out of whack, nor did any of the staff. And we think it went really good, only because we had 2 auditors on site where we previously had 3, and they wrapped up all the work in 3 days. So it'll take.
He phoned me too.
Did he?
Yeah, to make sure that you weren't doing anything illegal.
Ah, yes, that's good.
I said, no.
No.
Is that a convincing?
You're what? Moving on. Yeah. So we can expect the final audit report probably in a few weeks here. That's good because I do need those final financial statements to do up the annual report and the SOFI document, which are all coming in the next month and a half. Summer students, I need to know if council is okay with us putting the ad out for the summer students, even though the budget
By all
for that
means,
hasn't been final
yes.
approved. Yeah,
As many as we can get.
we're shooting for 3 this year, your worship.
Well, what
Only-
about the museum?
Yeah.
Do we have to apply for them? Or they're gonna do it?
No, they've indicated they're doing their own this year,
They
so
also asked if they could have one that would be both.
we're more than willing to share. Yeah, we did last year too, so, and that came up a lot of times, you know, when they were working on their float and that kind of stuff, and so, yeah,
Did they ask you that too?
absolutely.
Right?
That was the last thing.
I think the issue here is that with Les needs to go through the liaison exactly like the
Everybody
library
else
does.
does, yeah.
And I think Les needs to be put in his place. And I think you need to do that. Because we were last night outside, he dropped pictures off to Ken. The liaison for the museum is Marlene. To deal with the museum is Marlene, not the rest of us.
Okay, I can.
So enlighten him on that
Yeah.
before the mayor does. And when if the mayor has to, well, it won't be very good.
Okay, will do. So yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. And just to recap, the budget for the summer students is 45K, including benefits for those 3 folks. And lastly was just the big ticket items, just to repeat there, the annual report and the SOPI document are due in the next month and a half or so. That's it for me.
Thank you, Chris. So action.
I'd like to ask Chris a question.
What?
Skateboard parks, when are they going to start bringing equipment
As soon as
or?
that white stuff isn't around.
No, this is April.
Yep.
We
And
need
very
to-
good question, Councilor Smith. As a matter of fact, I sent off an email to Urban Systems this afternoon about that. The email was, hey guys, looks like we got 2 weeks till the construction window fully opens up. Let's meet and see. Josh and I talked just here now, and they're coming tomorrow afternoon, and we're gonna finalize the game plan. So I've got a few things I'm gonna have to bring back to you guys for the skate park project, and namely, there'll be contractor approvals for the various quotes and stuff we have. Virtually all the work exceeds the staff authority limit to award it to somebody, so we're gonna discuss all of that tomorrow, and there may actually end up being, depending on what they see as the time crunch, we might have to hold a brief special meeting next week to award 1 or 2 of those to kick.
You don't want to sleep.
Did you and Doug Keith have a meeting yet about the building?
Nope, last conversation with him was before the holidays, and he was just coming back from several weeks in Mexico or
Yeah.
something. And he said he had a few weeks of business stuff to take care of, but that he'd take a look at it as soon as time permitted. So,
Okay.
and then maybe one other item, our appraisal on the water.
That's what I was just gonna ask you about, this
Yeah.
appraisal here. It says by the end of February it's going on.
It is not, and I've sent 2 reminder emails, both of them unanswered, to the lady from the appraisal company.
So what is this appraisal company?
Aspen Grove Appraisals.
So we recommend nobody use Aspen Grove appraisers if she's not gonna get back to us?
I've got the full email chain, your worship, and I'm actually quite surprised because up until around the end of January, she was pretty responsive, but both of the last 2 emails, you know, they were one-liners from me. Hey, you committed to having this done by the end of February, where are we at with it? Both have gone unanswered. The last one was March 15th.
I wonder if she's a Chamber of Commerce.
I'm not sure.
Is it a local or down south?
Part of the reason I chose that lady was that she was a local Bruce resident. So, I don't know, perhaps she's got something personal going on, and, because it seems odd that she wouldn't respond at all.
The job's too big.
There was a few $1,000s of appraisal work here. I think she quoted us somewhere in the neighborhood of $3,000 to get those
She was
appraisals.
quite eager.
And yeah.
Oh, thinking something might have happened to her.
Maybe, because like I say, the correspondence was pretty good up until the last month and a half, but it seems like it's just disappeared.
And she lives here in Bruce?
I believe so. She
Is that
told me
Ann?
yeah, Ann Clayton.
Okay, I know exactly where she is.
Okay, Ann Clayton is the one that runs the,
Assessment.
the farmer and advocacy office.
Okay.
So maybe try calling her there. Because if not, then she's at regional district every Thursday. Barb can maybe hit her up over it.
Okay. Okay, I'll give that a shot.
Okay, do you guys see anything on the action items? Who's Peace Holdings, Chris? Can't remember.
What page was it?
What's the action items? 39.
39.
This was before Christmas. Or no, just after Christmas that they
Anyone
asked.
get on that one?
We stopped them.
I'm totally drawing a blank on that.
Good night, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Good night.
No, I don't remember, your worship. I'd have to go back and look at our notes.
Okay, what about Mike Friedman? Did you talk to him yesterday? Or today? About the school?
No. No, last correspondence we have from the school is about, from the board about the portables there. So.
Okay, so can you contact them about, like, is it ordered? Is it gonna be here by September? I'd appreciate an update from them.
And I believe that would be more a question for the board as opposed to.
Okay.
to Mike.
Then the board. Right?
And portable, let's make sure that they have facilities in there and they don't have to run back and
Or to the building,
school.
especially in the winter.
They can't go to the bathroom and wash their hands or
I believe,
The ones that-
call.
I
Pardon?
believe there, it doesn't have a washroom in it, to my knowledge.
No, they said they had to build a washroom on it.
Oh, they have to, oh, okay. I didn't know they were doing that.
The ones that Canova have?
Hmm?
So can you do that tomorrow, Chris? And let me know.
Nothing.
No, I'm not. There's more students enrolling.
Yeah, it's gonna be 131.
Nice.
131.
Are we gonna get a library?
You're gonna lose your one.
131.
I don't think we're gonna have our library.
So that's why I want you to talk to the school board.
That school is just bursting.
Now, how many schools are in there? How many students in there right now?
126.
6. Because of the 5 more.
And I mean, you know, it's just not just regular students. I mean, when you get a special needs student in there.
But Melissa said at the meeting, remember, that we would be going down for students.
That's true.
Because of grade 7,
But there's some to fill it.
there's 131 students.
Can I ask Councilor Hewitt where that number comes from?
Oh, I have no idea.
That number comes from one of our workers that work for us. His grandson has special needs, and they went to the school, and that's what they were told. It will be 131 students in that school by September.
Well, they're taking registrations now.
I mean, and that's good in the context that the school's growing and the community's growing, right? But
That is, but is the school board going to accommodate us, or do we have to take and purchase a portable on our own?
I forget the nominal capacity number of the bricks and mortar building, but I'm thinking 120 somewhere in that neighborhood, because that came out in one of the meetings.
It was in the millions, but,
No, I mean, the capacity of students for the existing bricks and mortar, building before it starts bursting at the seams, the school had that number.
They said 120 when we had the first
Yeah,
meeting.
I thought
And then
so.
it's just before when we started the process to get more space, they were at 124 in
Yeah.
September.
so that's why we had to give up our library. So,
And I don't know what the nominal capacity of a portable is.
well, can you find that out, and then if we have to have a special meeting to actually have, maybe we might have to purchase a portable to accommodate these kids, because we don't want these kids leaving
No.
poos. We don't want them bust.
No?
I just have a new question to ask Chris.
Okay.
Are we going to give out burning permits?
Well, it's come spring.
Yeah.
Excellent question. That may have recently come up, and I will defer to Councillor Drover in his councillor's report for that.
Okay. Not yet. And Blair is gonna have Blair come to council meeting to discuss the burning bylaw and permit.
Your worship, when we bring that up, we're months away from having the time capacity to squeeze in a big bylaw rewrite like that. Between the budget, the two major statutory reports that have to come up, all the capital projects, we're 2 weeks away from starting the skate park. We're a couple of months away from being able to really sit down and put pen to paper on that.
But we can still have Blair come in to discuss this with us.
We can, yeah, so, yeah, I guess, if you guys wanted to have him come in.
Because then he can
earlier
give us the
at some
stats on the
point.
medical calls at the same time.
We'd have to ask him for that ahead of time, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so does council have a date maybe they'd like to
Second meeting in April.
pick for him to come in?
That would be next.
That'd be our next
17th.
meeting.
Whenever he can make
This is the
it.
first meeting in April.
Whenever he can make it in.
It's your worship, he serves the village, you guys give us a date, he'll be available.
First meeting in May.
We're in NCLJ. When's NCLJ again, Sandy?
May 6th,
When's our meeting
10th,
in
you're
May?
gone.
I'm gone.
And then
Barb's
May
gone.
29th to June 30th, or June 3rd, you're going.
And Donna's gone. Are you going to NCLJ, right?
No,
No?
No,
Is this
no.
me and Barb?
just
And-
Barb
and
and
Chris.
Chris.
And Chris.
Yeah.
And you and Chris to FCM.
And Amy. And Mom.
I don't look after them. I look after you guys.
I got that recorded, Amy. He said yes.
I'll put her plane ticket on your credit card and you can take it out of his. I'll put it in, okay? Okay.
Nobody on my.
I have your credit card, so I'll.
Okay, and I'll put the points too.
Okay,
And then
there you
next
go.
year she can come with us again, because it'll be $99 free.
What's our meetings in May?
We've got urban systems coming.
We've got a boundary extension presentation in May.
What about June? Let's do June.
June would be better because then all the budget stuff's done and we're,
And in all honesty, your worship, the end of May, June is what we were shooting for.
Why?
Yeah, but then the fire permits.
Yeah.
People are gonna want
But,
the fire.
can we not have?
No, we don't
May
need, we
17th?
don't need him for the burning permits. We just need him to talk about
the volleyball.
the bylaws is what we want.
Oh, okay.
But tonight we're gonna
want-
talk about the burning permits.
Well, indeed I am.
There you go.
But we also need feedback from the fire chief, because if we're having to respond to villagers who have a fire in the backyard and it gets away, then we need to know the effect on the local infrastructure and the amount of cost that we absorb by responding to that individual or that particular residence, and therefore we should levy a fine against any irresponsible residents whose leisurely fire results in having the fire truck dispatched and firemen responding.
Firefighters.
Firefighter persons,
No
Okay.
fighters.
So let's get.
Fighter
let's-
persons.
Let's get to your report in a minute. Is there any special projects? Capital special projects?
there was one other question I had.
Okay, then shoot.
If I may. The ministry or the Minister of Environment Assistant contacted Sandy to see why council wanted them to come and meet.
Haven't heard that.
Did you give them a response?
Yes. I'm waiting for them to respond again.
Oh,
And that was over the ventilation index, I believe.
Yes.
and giving our
Yes.
resident the riot act.
And I've told them that, and then he's put it off to, well, it's actually his assistant that got a hold of it, and now I'm waiting for them again.
They'd have to find somebody who's kind of a specialist on that piece of legislation.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. So now we're at capital special projects. extension is on the 17th. That's a councillor day.
Mm-hmm.
And what time are they coming?
5:30.
Are we gonna have enough time?
I'm coming from Alberta that day too, with an hour difference.
That, to be honest with you, that meeting, Councillor Smith, is more for the benefit of the new councillors. It's intended as a recap of everything that's been done on the boundary extension project up until.
So I can come late.
Yeah,
I can do.
actually you could as well, your worship.
There's another one scheduled.
Yeah, there's
For May.
another progress meeting scheduled in May, but it's been 6, maybe a little bit more months since we've really had a boundary extension meeting. When I talked to Urban about the plans, I got 3 new councillors. You know, even the returning folks, it's been 6 months since we've touched this project. We kind of need a recap before we can really start.
And when are they moving the welcome, or the whose time?
That has been assigned to staff here today as part of the list. I can also comment on a couple of the projects. The street light piece is 95% complete, which, you know, isn't going to come anywhere near that $50,000 budget because council's direction was to do LEDs on the buildings in the downtown core. Reason I say 95% complete is it's come to the attention of the electrical contractor that to change the pot lights on the outside of Town Hall building, they gotta remove all the soffit. So we've just asked those guys for an updated quote on how much it might cost to do that.
So if the village hires a carpenter to do the museum, that carpenter could probably help them with that.
So why do you need to change the components?
Putting out.
The
Put the LEDs in.
direction from council was to change all the village exterior lights on the building to LEDs.
Oh,
Don't you remember?
no, not that part. I just remember the street lights.
I have some questions about Goose Park.
Yep.
Are we going to get the park to be used more often? Because I had if someone was having a function down at Union Wedding, I'm throwing this out there, where they put a damage deposit down because they're using the park and allow them to park their campers in the parking to stay overnight, and possibly if we could put a permanent fire pit in there so that people could go down there for picnics, have a barbecue, and there'll be benches around. I'm thinking if you had a wedding there and you put a damage deposit down, then we would keep that damage deposit to repair anything.
What about sewer though?
Well, it's porta potties.
No, but trailers and things like that. People have a tendency of just letting it buck.
So, as it is.
That'd be part of the damage deposit.
There used to be a place that they could do that, but I guess it's not there anymore.
Well, we're partially considering that with the water fill station partnership with the PRRD project as well, but that's
Down the road.
Yeah. So there's a couple of parts or a couple answers to that, Councillor Smith. Right now, as it stands, there's no overnight camping in Goose Park.
Yes.
Council, of course, it's your guys' park. So if somebody came to you and said, I want to throw a wedding for 2 days, can't, we bring that back to you guys. Are we okay with it? We draft up some kind of special agreement between, you know, the village and those people. There's no damage deposit for anything right now, there's theoretically nothing damage. Maybe the bandstand, but, yeah, you know, there's.
But if we have benches and park it down there, they will have to have a damage deposit.
But what I'm
Fire gets
thinking,
away.
Well, and that's something to consider too. Do we want to allow private user groups to be lighting fires in Goose Park? Comes back to, you know, the fire bylaw. Is that something we want to allow? Right now, there's no more fire pits down there because the camping was taken away. So really, it's got that green space, you know, sort of mandate to it. Right now, technically speaking, there's no policy or bylaw anywhere about any events. So if somebody wanted to come in and host a wedding down there this Saturday, really they don't even need to
No.
ask for permission.
But they can't pull their holiday trailer down.
Nope. No. So if we found somebody camping in there overnight, you know, we'd politely go down and remind them, sorry, this isn't a campground anymore, folks, and we'll have to move on.
I've done really good too.
Well, when you said yes, council has that choice. What I'm trying to do is be proactive, not reactive, because, okay, Chris, you just go down there and have your wedding, and then a month later, somebody comes in, how can you let Chris do it, but you won't let me do it? So if we had something sort of tentatively
Okay.
basic and where we could grow on it, I'm just trying to think if a damage deposit would recover any damage or anything, because they would sign off on it.
But also sometimes I think too, if you charge somebody a damage deposit, they figure, well, you know, I can do this and I can do that and I can do this because I already paid for it.
So,
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
yeah, maybe. And the damage deposits right now, it's revenue neutral. We've gone through 2 back-to-back presentations, yesterday and tonight, that said the village requires revenue going forward for various things. So maybe, Councillor Smith, you're onto something.
Because we're paying for porta potties,
Maybe,
we're paying for our public works to go down
There
there
should
and
be
lock
a
it.
user fee.
maybe there's a user fee for weddings
Absolutely.
or so on
I
and
think
so
you're
forth.
opening up.
And we
whole
have
can
a
of worms
minister.
then. You're opening a whole new,
Yeah.
because there was
Yeah.
policies in place for the
Who?
park, there was rules, there
They're no
was,
longer
and I
efficient.
sent you a link to a webinar
Yeah,
about parks.
okay.
And if that's
I
the
talked
case, maybe
to,
one of
uh,
us should be taking that,
Yeah.
because everything you have to do to get it compliant again.
Okay.
We're gonna run across this,
It's, yeah.
It's
I
coming.
think so too. It's gonna come up with.
because they're
I'll remember
gonna
that.
drive their pickup truck with a camper down there.
Yeah.
Nobody's here.
But it does say no overnight camping.
Yeah.
So,
When you and I have got the police every time we go by.
Can I then make a recommendation, council, that we add one of the action items here for Sandy and I to look into the feasibility of putting something like that in place?
I'll put that motion on.
Secondly.
All in favor?
No.
All right. Goodbye.
Are you throwing these around?
What's the next one?
Oh, you're not
Capital, council calendars.
Social security thing.
oh, I meant to put May. Oh,
Wait a minute.
you could just do it.
Excellent.
I don't know where I'm at.
I don't know where you're at either.
We were on the calendar. at a-
April, you weren't anywhere. I knew your regional
Oh, that's
district.
right, Barb. The 16th, are we having a budget meeting?
Yeah,
What's that?
16th, there's a budget meeting.
It's the budget meeting. I'm in Salmon Arm on the 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd.
Lucky duck.
I have to go put my place up.
And is it start at 5:30?
And Chris,
Yeah.
you're working at the other office.
And we still gotta set a budget meeting to replace,
Not replaced, to,
to reschedule, yeah.
yeah.
And we were gonna do that.
I came up with some dates.
29th?
Yeah,
Well,
because you couldn't do it on the.
he had asked the
Wednesday.
30th, you said no, so he suggested we come up with a few dates. We could do it somewhere in the week of the 23rd to the 26th. We could add one in there somewhere because we don't have any meetings there.
Good for
Or-
me.
Or we could do May 2nd or May 3rd.
And I prefer sooner rather than later. Your
I'm through the
worship.
24th.
Can I suggest the later ones? I could probably put it together
The 25th?
by that time, but our budget meeting's on the 16th.
How about the
and-
26th?
Well,
No, it's a Friday.
I
What
gotta-
about a Friday, oh, Marlene can't come. I was gonna say Friday lunch meeting.
I take a lot of diligence in the budget. I got a $5.2 million bunch of numbers that I gotta
Okay,
make
the
sure we got
25th,
set.
are you okay with the 25th? Be there.
No, PRD. Oh,
That's over at 4:30.
Yeah.
I'm at a museum meeting
On Wednesday.
On the
Thursday.
25th?
on the 25th.
No, that's a Thursday.
Yeah.
And I'll probably be in the library meeting.
I think I have a meeting that night too for the Southeast Health.
How about Saturday morning?
How about the 26th if you bring alcohol?
I can make the 26th.
Shall we edit that out?
Open meeting?
Can we make it for like right at 4:30 or 5 o'clock?
I have no idea when I'm going to be working. I don't even know
If they
right
know
now when
that-
I work next week.
Can you tell them?
I can try to get that day off.
So 4:30?
Yeah.
I think 4:30, 5 o'clock.
No,
Is that
that's
right?
right, Sandy. What time are you off, Ken?
6.
No.
5?
I'm traveling on the 27th.
So the 26th is okay.
26th is okay.
Okay, so 4:30?
5?
It's Friday night.
And honestly, guys,
We'll
this
have a
may
drink
not-
before he gets here.
This may not be a terribly long budget meeting either, because it'll be the first presentation of the complete consolidated budget package. All it is a recap of everything we've done, plus whatever last minute changes.
4:30, good.
Okay, 4:30 on the 26th.
And what are we doing?
This
Budget meeting.
will be the first presentation for the first 3 readings of the financial plan and the tax rate bylaw. So it'll be everything. It's the complete budget document.
All right, good. So we got that settled.
Okay.
4:30?
Yes. So, Councilor White,
I'll be late.
got a report?
Went to the NCLG.
No, PR,
What?
East River
Whatever it was.
Municipal.
Whatever it was on
PRLGA.
Thursday. The PRLG
For Local Government Association.
gave me an address.
One of those acronym government functions.
And you're done?
Yeah.
No library meeting?
It was, no quorum. I have no idea. It just wasn't a quorum.
Oh, Smith.
I did the NDIT conference call. There is a grant out for housing needs assessment through NDIT.
I emailed you that.
And it's going to probably be compulsory for municipalities to have that study done before you can get grants for a seniors, a daycare, any government assisted grants in the future. They're going to say, where is your housing needs assessment? So, but there's a grant to cover that, and I think we should have it. What we think we need might not be what actually we need.
I had this conversation last night with Chris.
And Urban Systems actually reached out to us proactively too, saying, hey, there's a grant out for this. Do you guys want us to do your housing needs assessment?
And I mentioned that before, but yeah.
Sorry, Your Worship, we don't have that work in the capital and special project plan this year, but maybe the course of action, we can get the grant writer to apply for the grant. If we're successful, we'll throw it into a special project for next year.
Okay, and I went to the Peace River LGA.
Say it, Barb.
Supper.
Peace River Local Government.
I went to see
Association.
everybody, it was pretty quiet. I have a question. Are we doing a seniors assisted cleanup? Have we any plans to help seniors clean up for spring? I see Dawson has a seniors and I'm just throwing it out there with a big question mark.
Well, we did it last year. Did we not last year? We had.
We do it every year, Your Worship.
Yeah.
There's kind of an unofficial thing that
Yes.
if a senior cleans up their yard and can't transport the material anywhere, give us a call and Public Works will go and figure it forward. What Public Works won't do is actually do the raking of the yard.
Aw, they better get over there. Oh, it's got rocks
Are
all
we gonna
over
put
it.
that in the newsletter or?
Oh, we could. Next newsletter, Alistair said's going out the 25th of April here.
Yeah, when we get back from our conference.
Yeah, so, okay, we'll add that to the newsletter.
And you were going to write a letter to Trombley House, Chris?
Yeah, I got a few of those things on my agenda here right now.
Council Hubert.
Well, I went to see a meeting on the 21st.
How was that?
It was really nice. And I even had this in the binder. Which I took out.
Look at you go.
I know. the presentation from the archives from the Historical Society was there. And what the museum board came to understand is that this lady would be doing anything paper. And they have a constitution that nothing can be removed from the museum. So what it would do is it would have less working in there, students working in there, archivists trying to work in there. It just doesn't work out at all. So they've passed. It's too bad. Yeah. I told them about the Hillcrest, that the owners had to ask for the heritage. And they've said that's all right too.
We'll sat here and told them that night.
Yeah. And Northern Alaska Highway Society, again, brought up, no, they do not want to be involved.
How do they promote the museum? This could be museum through organizations.
I can understand where they're coming from. Look how old they are.
Well, the volunteers too.
Yeah, but they do not, you get them some younger volunteers and get those volunteers to agree to go to places and they'll be all fine and dandy with that. But
we can't afford to pay Sandy's wages to go up there. So if we're gonna have to send Sandy up there, then that's gonna have to come out of their budget.
all right, Paul.
I thought I was going.
What do you want?
Well, we're supposed to find somebody else that was going as well.
Have you contacted Sue,
Was I supposed to contact Sue?
if you're interested?
Okay. Sue Kennedy?
No, Sue Montague.
I don't know if I can get in touch with her.
Well, I sent you the email, I'll resend it,
Okay.
and it has her contact info in it.
Okay, so we got Counselor White doing the Alaska Highway Society.
You know that's on the long weekend in May, right?
Okay.
It's the Friday of the long weekend.
Oh, we can?
No,
It's just.
it's a one day
Good Friday.
meeting for the Friday. No,
No,
May
you
long.
pass
May.
that along, but they still go through you. Donna will go through you.
Yeah.
We'll have to go up on the Thursday.
Yeah, that's their plan, is to drive up on the Thursday, put people up for 2 nights. And then there's the big BC Provincial Museum conference or something on a Saturday in Fort Nelson. Everything's taking place in Fort Nelson. But they're willing to pay, they're looking at getting the funding for the gas for people to drive up and for either one or both nights of the accommodations. So they'd only have to pay their food.
And we would pay for the food.
Yeah.
Okay. You okay with that?
Yeah.
As long as I can go with somebody.
Thank you.
I'm gonna drive all the way up there by myself.
If you talk to Sue, she can probably put you in connection with, because I know there's a bunch of ladies in Dawson that are going.
Okay.
Anne Haycock, I think, is going from the Historical Society. And I don't remember the other lady's name, but there's another lady that works with her, Lynn, and I don't know about. You may be able to go up with that.
There you go. Okay, Mr. Drover.
Wait a minute.
Oh, sorry.
The museum. People, we have to really put a push on this. I think that there are issues of safety involved in some of these repairs, especially when the soffit is falling down. It's been ignored for far too long. That the painting end of it, okay, well, you have to wait for that. But that soffit falling down, it just can't be left. So, what do we think?
Well, we should hire a carpenter. It's got to be repaired. It has to be repaired.
And soon,
It's a safety
because
issue.
they're having their grand opening.
Like in weeks.
Three carpenters, 3 quotes.
3 quotes. It's my understanding, Your Worship, that when the museum got the last quote for the painting work, that some of that was included in the quote, but I'd have to just revisit that.
Well,
We've
color-
only- We've only got one.
Color Wheel gave the name to somebody in the village office.
Who?
Color Wheel? She's a young girl, her dad, Badker.
Okay, I have no, it's Les that brought me a Facebook post with her phone number on it, okay?
Oh, well, she said she gave somebody a name in here.
Well,
I
it
talked to
wasn't
her
me.
at the regional district thing.
It
when I
was not
working.
me. It never got passed to me and I took what I had to do.
Anyway, she's a young mother who lives here in Houston.
And her dad is also a painter?
Yes, it's a
Yes,
Joe's
okay.
company.
Yeah. So I was planning to call her for the museum as well as here.
I know they threw the.
Get a quote from
She
her.
lives right behind the redwood there.
Okay.
But yeah. We need 3 quotes for painters.
We need 3 quotes from qualified individuals or companies.
So there's Transformer, there's Color Wheel.
Transformer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Carla Pearson.
And this is for painting.
Painting. And then Max Karpinski's 2-stroke painting.
Pat.
Hmm?
It's Pat, it's not Mark.
Max?
Yes, it's not very, he has been there for years.
What about the repair?
It's Patrick.
Then a carpenter.
Yeah.
We got Luke, KB Construction.
Okay.
We have Jeff Morris Renovations. We have
I could get-
Terry Nash.
I could get a whole bunch of names.
And does Terry Nash have a company or is he
Yes, he's a proprietor.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry, Alistair will go over after whoever comes to do the work for their
Yeah,
business
his
license.
license.
I got
Yes,
the
he will.
speech. If you're gonna have someone do the work, you make sure you ask them if they have a business license. If they don't have a business license, send them to me. I said, don't worry, I will.
And then there's also a carpenter, his name is Louis Hebert. But he doesn't have a WCB number.
Well, and that's the thing, your worship.
But he's an awesome carpenter.
Yeah, it's gotta be somebody with insurance, WCB compliant that.
The
can-
Jocks, like Jocks might do the work. You could always contact Jocks. Jocks lives right out on the hill.
Yeah, Jock is in Poos
They
Road.
spend a lot of money here in Booth.
Well, Jock lives here.
Well, he doesn't live in Booth, but he lives out on Prior Ridge.
Well, yeah, well, he.
Okay,
So those names,
we will make some, the issue that we're finding though, your worship, is I've got a stack of photos just like that from Les. I've
but
got
we had the
nothing-
building inspector go over there and have a booth, did we?
We did, and, I mean, he found some stuff, but, you know, there was no report driven, it was basically just does the building look sound? Yeah, it's not bad.
That wasn't Devin, that was the
No,
other guy.
that was Andrew too.
So can we have Devin have a booth?
Well,
I can get that done next Wednesday, actually.
Okay.
And then, but can you reach out to those carpenters to see maybe that they're not busy?
Before he starts.
Before they start.
I'd need to have Devin look before I could tell them over the phone even what they're looking at doing.
Well, some of them will even come and look at the work and know what they need to do too. So if you got what Devin has to say and you got what the carpenter has to say, you compare notes, you know.
Well, and that's.
You know,
the thing
someone's
is
not ripping you off and
With that, in order to make it fair to the competition, we have to be advertising an exact amount, same amount of work to each group. So if Carpenter A came in and said, we need that window, that piece of soffit, Carpenter B came in and gave us a price on 3 windows and no soffit, then we're not comparing apples to apples, we can't.
but we need to get this done before May 11th.
Well,
And we
just
can know
consider
about-
the liability issue.
Yes.
Why are we getting this information just now?
Les told us about this.
No, Les told the village that
Yes.
he was doing the work himself. So we left him doing the work himself. Now all of a sudden we have to have carpenters, painters, the whole 9 yards.
The issue there, though, and the bottom line, is that it's the village's facility.
Exactly.
So,
It is the village's facility.
you know what, listen,
Just
if
get
you're,
in there and get it
if
done.
you're not going to fix the issues, don't open it to the public. Simple as that, right? It's a liability issue. If it's a safety issue, get it fixed, make it a priority before it opens. Do what you gotta do, or close it until it's done.
So, can you put your runners on?
I'll try Devin and see if he can come in earlier than is scheduled next Wednesday. But really, I need something to say to these contractors, here's A, B, C, and D that we need repaired. Because fair competition says that we have to ask the same thing of each of the contractors.
Why couldn't we hire a temporary employee to do that?
Because of
The
the
work.
union.
We're looking at 4 weeks out before we have a temporary employee. We have to advertise. Firstly, if we're hiring a temporary, we gotta source every past union employee. We have to offer it to them for 5 days. Then we gotta advertise publicly for 2 weeks. We gotta spend 2 weeks doing the interview process and then hire the candidate. Presumably, we gotta give the candidate a week to start.
Isn't there some kind of an emergency? No?
No, when the union's involved.
Hire them through the fire
So they
department.
have carpenters? Do we have carpenters?
Yeah.
We've got public works staff that have some carpentry experience to do
No,
basic
that's
stuff.
not, no,
But
it's a public building, it has to be.
if we're talking
It's
about.
somebody carpenter, yeah, certified carpenter.
And that's why I'm saying those pictures, Councilor Hebert, I got those from
Yeah,
us
I
too.
know.
And I look at this and I see a couple of loose boards, I have no idea whether we need to just nail that back up or replace the whole darn thing and all that's handed me
When
the
you're
power.
seeing this, that means there's a big problem.
So can you phone KB Construction?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't,
just do-
I wouldn't like that on my house.
That's it.
He can look at the building, he can tell you exactly what's wrong with it.
Yeah, 'cause
Luke will.
Luke will give you a good shot.
And so will Jen.
You have people who make a living at exploiting shit like, excuse the language, stuff like this, right?
But we also know these two people really well, so. I've known Luke since he was this high.
No, for people to see something unsafe and have an accident and collect insurance.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, I hear what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay.
Are you done? You went
I think so, I
You
forget.
went to?
Oh, I went to Fort St. John as well, there you go. Did I say that?
No.
No.
Mr. Drover.
Okay.
He didn't go to Fort St. John.
Now remember, we have an in-camera meeting tonight.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. It says here, in-camera meeting, that's
It
per
says-
section 90 of community charter.
Read below it.
No.
I thought we were
Below
gonna
it.
have that one in-camera meeting that we just.
It says no in-camera meeting. No in-camera.
We talked about an in-camera meeting.
I believe there's supposed to be an in-camera.
Nobody talked to me about an in-camera.
Sorry, you were left out of the loop.
No,
This
this
is
wasn't
about me?
left out
This
of
is
the
to get rid of me?
No, she
We
was.
talked about it in the office.
I don't remember the topic, Your Worship.
You can't bring it up right now either.
Can just roll with it.
Go for it.
Thank you. It was my pleasure to have chaired the last council meeting.
Okay, so I don't have to come to the next one?
Oh, no, I need much guidance and assistance in the means and ways of conducting business within a municipal setting.
He had a sheet in front of him on how to do it.
I had a cheat sheet, you know. But we missed you,
Why?
and we're glad you're back.
Did you miss me?
And also along that same vein of conversation, I wanted to specifically state thank you to our CAO. Last night was absolutely fantastic. Your PowerPoint presentation was excellent. And it wasn't only last night, when you make your presentations to council. They're first rate, they're easy to understand. And
He dummies it up for me.
well, you know, you're a good communicator, and I wanted to thank you for your contribution to
My
the council.
pleasure.
You're a valued employee.
Yeah, my pleasure, thank you.
One of the things that I want to bring up, we asked in the past about getting residents, villagers to participate more within the community. And a suggestion was made to go through social media, to put the information out there that we need volunteers within our community. And I would like to know what has been done in the last 2 weeks to facilitate that. And then I still got more to go. Anyone?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. That's what I kind of briefly alluded to in the CAO report, Councillor Drover. We assigned that project to Sandy and Alistair.
And we knew that right from the get-go that Alistair was going to be involved in it.
Yeah.
Where is it?
It's done. It's going to be on the April 17th
So,
agenda.
at the last meeting,
Yes.
when said people were not here,
Yes.
council asked for a letter to be drawn up and brought back to them for approval.
Remember? You were the mayor.
So the letter was finished today, so
Acting there.
it will be on the next council meeting.
Okay, where is the Facebook posting?
We're not doing
You
the
guys have
Facebook
to approve
until
the
we
letter
approve the
before we
letter.
can
If you
post
approve
it.
the letter.
Oh my
We gotta
God,
split
people.
everything.
Right? So,
The letter
This
has
is
to
what
Well-
you guys asked for last meeting.
okay, but this is why we ask for stuff, and I'm gonna go from A to B to C here, right? We ask for volunteers in the community. Let's get it out. Let's have people know we need volunteers. So now we got letters and we're waiting. We got seniors assisted cleanup coming. Not half of these seniors can get out there and rake their front lawn. Let's have some volunteers from the community step up and rake someone's lawn, right? Then we'll call Public Works. Yeah, we'll all help, but, and so will members of the community. But we have to ask them and let them know there's a need for them to be volunteers. So let's get on the ball and get her done. Now,
You notice he says the nice things to you, Chris, and now he's ripping you.
I'm not ripping, Chris.
And the voice is getting louder and louder and louder.
Same thing with the carpenter, right? So thank you very much for bringing that up. I mean, it's a safety issue, and those issues have to be addressed before the museum opens. Wait, it's not gone yet.
You didn't write it down? You were scribbling over there pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
Did you forget where you wrote it?
Yeah, I've got it wrote down. but-
Fire permit.
Fire permit. Thank you, fire permit. Here it is right here. All right, so, yes, let's get it done. I mean, we talked about this, what, a month, 6 weeks ago? When Blair come in and we were talking about the fire permits, and then it was talked about villagers who had, backyard campfire and they got away and the fire truck had to be called. Well, and then we kiboshed it, and I spoke against kiboshing it at that time. But I would like to read this, and I would like to voice my appreciation to the CAO for the wording of which I'm going to read.
Oh, that's why he was giving it a grace to start with it.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to put a motion on the agenda to lift the burning ban for small category 1 fires up to 1.5 meters in height and area until the full fire bylaws has been reviewed by staff and brought to council for consideration.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll second that.
But we also have in our bylaw that they can't burn their debris. Right?
Okay. Let's take over
So these
grass.
people, no,
Grass?
it says in the bylaw, Chris, what does it say?
I'm not sure if it's in the bylaw, Your Worship. However, I know the ventilation index speaks to any yard waste is not supposed to be burnt as long as there are compost facilities available, which we have.
But could that be on their permit when they come and give
Can
us
they not
their
tell us
nickel?
what they're gonna
We
do?
have
They
to-
sign off and it's right there in black and white, so if
Don't we
they,
compost all that stuff?
We're supposed to, now that we've got
But
a
Chris,
compost area.
Can we put on a burning permit what they're burning?
We can put,
And if they're burning waste or anything like that, well, no, they can't.
Sorry, you can't have them.
You can't have them.
The,
There's an application that they have to actually fill out before we issue them a building.
This is getting too complicated.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what? When you walk out the door and you have a bunch of
Yes, but I
people
mean,
over,
look at how
you
many
have
times.
some wood sitting there, you put it in your pit, and there you go. You
But
sit
look what
around
happened to that
your fire.
guy. Yeah, but look what happened to that guy.
What guy?
The guy that burnt the hay.
Was he with them village?
Yes, he was in the
You're
village boundaries.
referring to
And
a
the
document
doors
which we
down.
don't have in
Yes,
front of
it's
us,
right up
because
there.
I'm pretty sure it said that residential backyard was not,
Exactly.
was exempt from that permit.
Unless
Come
a municipality decides that it will not allow burning. And I thought Vancouver, perfect, Victoria, perfect. But Scoopia, northeastern British Columbia, I don't know if we could argue that.
I'd like to see you rub that.
What we're doing is,
That
we're
hay got
encouraging
burned.
our citizens to break the law.
Yes, but that
Yeah.
hay got burned within the village boundaries.
That's
He came
different.
here and
That's
asked.
different, that's not a backyard.
He came in and
burn.
asked,
talking apples and
we
oranges.
issued
Yeah,
him a
yeah.
building permit, or
A burning permit.
He did his due diligence.
Yes.
Then they got on Facebook, and then they started yapping about it. Instead of coming phoning here and complaining, they phoned the conservation officer.
Fire
They have
papers
every
and
right.
eight bales and
Canadians.
hay.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
It's too.
It's within their right. It's like seeing somebody speeding through the school zone and you pick up your phone and you go, somebody's speeding, and I thought they're a Canadian. They can do that.
I think they took it a little too far with the hay.
So anyway, my motion, sorry, Chris?
No, sorry, Councilor Drover, I never actually answered the mayor's question about the burning permit. So the quick answer is yes, with the exception of the fact that the burning permit exists through the fire bylaw. So in order to change the burning permit, the fire bylaw, including the new burning permit, has to be rewritten through all the motions. So we can't just arbitrarily change the burning permit without first adopting it through the fire bylaw.
Then can we give them a burning permit for a month,
We can give them the exact,
month to month?
the existing burning permit that we have now.
And why not?
Exactly.
Well, that's basically what Councilor Drover's
Excellent.
But
recommending.
month to month, like not a year permit.
We can't
Well,
change
so
it because it's not changed.
We can't
It's part of
change
the
it,
bylaw.
it's part of the bylaw.
Well, and you know what, let's pull an Obama and have the bylaw on the books but not enforce it.
So the existing burning permit is a permit for 3 days or a full year.
Exactly.
But
What are they
Councilor
gonna
Drover's
do?
motion
Come and
is only for
repossess us?
class 1 or category 1 small backyard campground.
Exactly.
So we could pen that in on the burning permit, because that's not really changing the intent of the.
Because you're gonna have fires whether we give them a permit.
We actually shut one down 2
Yeah,
days
I was
ago.
just gonna say,
Somebody was
they
burning
shut
in
one
the
down.
backyard and Blair caught wind of it, pardon the pun, and walked right over and said, sorry, you're not
behind
allowed to
us.
burn right now.
It's
Yeah.
right there.
I mean, this is springtime, this is when it
Yes.
happens.
It is,
So,
but like that one lady said on Facebook, she's worried about the field. We'll call the fire department.
Yeah.
If you're worried about the field, call the fire department. Get the fire department to burn that field. And then they'll be calling them.
Everybody will be wanting to do it because I've been there, done that one thing.
But we need, but we do need, I know we need a working permit. It's getting past my bedtime. So, can you put a motion on the floor?
We did,
It's
Ted
already-
did, I second
Yeah.
it.
Okay, all in favor?
oh, and charge $20 per permit.
Change it.
That changed the bylaw.
It's not in the bylaw. The $10 isn't in the bylaw.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's all permit, so by definition, it's in the bylaw.
Yeah, it is.
Increase revenue?
In the new bylaw.
In the new bylaw.
They have a license at a certain match, which you
And
sell
this-
them for $25.
This is
I have a
where,
report, I went to the regional
Oh, wait,
district.
I'm sorry, I'm so
And I went to
sorry.
the PRRD.
I got one more.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
well, let's go.
I know, right?
Move on, move on.
So, with regards to the letter that the village is going to voice opposition to the caribou management plan, Poo Scoopy We are a very distinct community, are we not?
Oh, yes.
We have a wonderful,
Why didn't you bring this up when we were discussing it?
a wonderful indigenous population which makes up a large percentage of our community.
We just don't.
I would think it would be to the benefit of our cause if we were to have, or if we were to ask one of our residents to pen this letter to Vancouver, Victoria, wherever, in Cree.
Oh, can you do that?
Malcolm?
You get right in Cree? Can Malcolm still write Cree?
I think he can. No, he can't? Malcolm, can you do Greek? No. You know.
You know,
And
I
you
should, I
know,
told you.
And San Van Dumings can do Cree. Ben and Ruby Duming. Can do a Cree.
and Sadie Luca.
Oh, you would have to put it in your penmanship because we already had a letter from Ruby and you read it to us. It was for cookies.
Was it in Cree or was it in English?
It was in English.
Okay.
And that's the end of
Good. So I went to the G, whatever that was. I started the Peace River Local Government Association. And then before that I had a regional district meeting, and before that I had a regional district meeting. And I had another meeting, but I don't remember what. Sandy always knows where I'm at.
I do.
I usually text her. Or Chris. Chris always seems to text me at like 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday when I'm in the middle of a meeting at the regional district.
Or 10 o'clock at night.
Well, because he just gets you back for when you get him in the bathroom, that's all.
That's what you got. I think he spends lots of time in that bathroom. That's hence the throne on
It's my
April
quiet
1st.
The walls echo, and that's how you know he's in the bathroom.
No, because Alistair kind of giggles. I go, oh, well, call him, tell him to call me back.
It's true, it happens an unreasonably awkward amount of time.
It's like I said to him, getting up, going into the bathroom, closing the door, and then I'll go. Murphy's Law.
Yep. Yeah.
And Alistair? Okay, Marlene, what do you have to say?
Oh, my God.
Already did.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Well,